So, Power Platformers, today we're going to take a look at how we can integrate a Power App inside a Power BI report. Now, when we are building Power BI reports, there's often a scenario where user needs to submit something or enter some data based on the report that they are viewing. But previously, it was only possible to have two different screens, one for a Power BI report where they can look at the data, and then another screen where they can use a Power App to submit some data based on the report. But now there's a new feature that is available in Power BI that allows us to integrate a Power App inside a Power BI report. And that will be very helpful for user to submit some data based on a report that they are viewing. And so today we're going to take a look at that, and we are going to use an issue tracking list in SharePoint to build a Power BI report and then integrate a Power App inside that report. All right, so let's have a look at the list that we are going to use. So this is an out-of-the-box issue tracking list, and I have just created some dummy records for the report. As you can see over here, it's an issue tracker list, and it has some data associated to issues that has been raised by several different users. All right, so now let's go to Power BI and start building our report. Okay, so first off, we need to get the data. So for that, we are going to use SharePoint online list. In fact, let me just quickly grab the URL from here as well. Yep, so we're going to go to online services, SharePoint online list, connect. Now we're going to use the URL, and we can use the new 2.0 beta version for it as well. Authentication, well, it depends on if you are using the right user to connect to Power BI, then your authentication should be seamless. Otherwise, you need to provide the credentials. All right, now we should be able to see all the lists that are available in that SharePoint site. And we are going to use issue tracker list for that. And let's load it up. Okay, now that we have loaded our data set, the next thing is we need to have a visual so that we can view the data. So once our model is created and data is loaded, we're going to use a table visual for that purpose. So that should be pretty straightforward. All right, so now we are ready. And for this report, we're going to add a few fields from the data set that we are using. So let's take ID, and where is our issue? Okay, so issue description. Maybe we're going to look at the priority of it as well. So let's put in priority, status, and I think that should be sufficient. Let's look at the date it was created as well. Right, so now we have a report. Now you will notice that IDs are coming up like this, and that's because our ID, well, for some reason it summarizes this when you add ID field. So you need to tell them not to summarize so that we have the right IDs available. And now you will see in visualizations, there is an option for Power App for Power BI Visual. And we are going to use that to integrate a Power App. Right, so let's add it here. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to show it right next. Okay, I think it overwrote our previous visual, which we don't want. Let's add it again. All right, this time it worked fine. So what we want to do is we want to show it side by side. Yep, like this, so that user can look at all the issues, and then they can select an issue and then provide a resolution for that issue. So in this scenario, an engineer will be looking at all the issues that has been raised, and then they can respond to it or provide a resolution for it. All right, so let's have a look at the Power App visual here. So first off, what we need to do is we need to provide a data that we are going to use So let's do that. Let's put a data, PowerApp data that we want to use in our PowerApp. Just make sure that you don't summarize here as well. Yep, it's fine. Now, secondly, we have an option of either choosing an existing app or creating a new app. So for this demo, we're going to create a new app. All right, now it is going to open up in our browser. But if, like me, you have a lot of browsers and a lot of sessions going on, then this might be problematic. So I have my session opened up in an incognito window here. I'm going to use the same URL to open it up here. Now, this should be able to create a new Power App for me. And as you can see that we have a blank Power App set up. All right, and yeah, a few ways. So let's, we know that we need to submit some data back to SharePoint. So we're going to create a form. All right, let's use that. Now, just keep that in mind. If you look at the out of the box gallery, which was populated, you can see that it is using Power Integration.data. So we're just going to capture that, which we are going to use later. And now we don't need this gallery anymore, so we can just delete that. Now for the form, let's just drag it up all the way. And we know that we want to connect it to our SharePoint list. So let's open up, let's select our SharePoint list from here. I'll use the existing connection. And then I know that it's in my Axio website. And I know that I'm going to use issue tracker list for this. So let's select that and then click on connect. Now I have that data source available. I can now use it in my form. So if I go back here, I have this form. Now, if I select issue tracker as my data source, it will populate some fields here, which is fine, but we don't need all these fields. So we'll just go here and we're going to remove all the fields that we don't need. Perhaps title should be fine. You don't need assign to, date reported or days old, because we can see all that data in our Power BI report, right? So we don't need that. What we do need is we need to provide, the engineer will be providing a resolution. So we need to add that field. And we also need to add issue status field so that they can update the status as well. Right, so let's add them up. Beautiful. Now, the resolution is, we don't need single line of text. We need multi-line so that they can provide the resolution. And that should be enough. And this looks fine. All right, so I think we are good for now. We can just add a label here. So we know that something has gone wrong. So we know that this is an issue tracker resolution app. And let's just stylize it a bit as well. That looks fine. Make it bolder. Nice. So that should be enough for now. Just gonna put some color behind. All right. All right. So now we have our form set up. Now, first thing that we need is, well, first off, we don't need to enable these fields. So because we don't want the engineer to update these fields, so we can unlock and then we can disable it from here by using the display mode. So I'll just mark it as disabled so that no updates are made to these fields. Same thing I can use here. Display mode. Oops. Unlock. Then display mode. Disable. All right, so now we have only two fields enabled, which is all we need. Now we need to make sure that we get the item that was selected on the report, right? And that's where we're going to use the integration, Power BI integration.data as a source of item. So if you go to item, now you can define where do you want to, how you want to get that item. So we can choose ID. And so you'll often see that in these kind of scenarios, some people use filter, which is, in my opinion, is not correct, because we are only expecting one item to be returned, because only one item can be binded to a form. So instead of filter, you should use lookup, which by default only returns one item. And that's exactly what we need here. Right, so let's look at why it is complaining, or what it is complaining about. Okay, so the type is not right. So what we can do here is we can use first. So that we are only getting the first one, and then we're just going to get the ID from the first record that was selected. All right, so now you can see there's some data coming back. So by default, it returned all the items, but we only need the one that was selected. All right, so that's all good. The last thing we need is we basically need to submit the data. So we just add a button here. Submit. And on select, we're just going to submit this form. So it's nothing fancy, just quick submission of the form. We need to provide the form that we are using for this one as well. And we're just going to notify to show that it has been submitted. To the user. All right, I think that's pretty much it. And now what we will do is we will save it. Okay, we're going to change it to issue tracker, resolution app. And then we're going to save it up. So once it's saved, now we should be able to view it in our Power BI report. So if I go back to my Power BI report, you can see that the Power App is already starting to load. And voila, you can see that it has already loaded the record, and the Power App is integrated within my Power BI report. If I change it here, you can see that the change is reflected here as well. And if I provide a resolution, restart your laptop, please. And let's mark it as fixed, submit. Now this should submit the data back to SharePoint list. And if I come back here on my report and I refresh it, all right, let me just add another field here to show the issue status. Otherwise, we won't be able to see the issue status. So if I click here, so as you can see that this issue has the status is changed to fixed. And if I go to my SharePoint list, and if I go further here, you can see that it has changed the resolution to what we entered, and the issue status is fixed as well. And similarly, you can go to other issues, and you can see that you can change it and you can update the resolution. That's it for today. So today we saw how easily we can integrate Power App inside a Power BI report using Power App's visual. Hope you guys have enjoyed the session. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. And thanks for watching. Take care.